Welcome to the new podcast of Crossroad Conversations of the Northern Gazette website. We have a very special guest today. He's a young man, Manav from USA. He is special because he breaks stereotypes and challenging the set behavior pattern of the society. He has emerged as a successful human being. Manav, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Manav is special in the sense that he is on the autism spectrum, but he is professionally a successful man and socially acceptable. Manav is under ADHD, that is Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, which is under autism spectrum. So Manav presently is in USA working for Wells Fargo, a financial firm. He also runs his own enterprise where he helps youngsters, looking for their career, and he's writing their resumes, helping in many ways in finding them jobs, in preparing their resumes. So we will ask Manav that how you could start, how you could tell us about your entire journey of growing up.
Right. Oh, you're asking me that right now?
Yeah.
So yes, I guess I could tell you a little bit about myself and my journey. Yeah. So my name is Manav Sharma, of course, but you all knew that. Yes, so a little bit about me. I am 24 years old, almost 25. I currently work in a top 3 bank in the US as a project manager in the AI space. One other thing about me is that I graduated from business school in New Jersey with 2 degrees and honors in business analytics, information technology, and supply chain management. A little bit about my journey. I grew up with ADHD, autism, and anxiety, which is all within one spectrum called selective mutism. So a little bit is that there were challenges growing up, I'm not going to lie, like you were saying. But I think overall you're going to see as we talk today that I was able to persevere through most challenges, and I was able to actually get to a stage where I am, I guess I'd like to say, comfortable. So yeah, that's a little bit about my journey. I grew up with these, and that's where it is.
Yeah. Manav, while growing up, when you realize that you are different than others,
right.
Yeah,
definitely. I'd be happy to answer that. So, if I'm going to be totally honest with you, I really felt that difference when I was about 6 years old.
Oh.
So, it was a little different feeling, actually. So, compared to most other kids, right? I wasn't as social as most other kids, right? I didn't have as many friends as other kids. I wasn't able to grasp, we were just starting the first grade, right? I wasn't able to do like addition or subtraction as well as other kids or read at such a good level. So that's when I felt like things were different and that I wasn't able to be the quote-unquote normal standard.
Okay. So as a youngster, in school, what kind of challenges and hardships you faced from your teachers as well as from your fellow students? Yes. Were they friendly? Were they cooperative? What were your experiences?
Yes, definitely. So I can tell you a little bit about my experience, especially as a kid who grew up in the 2000s and 2010s. But when it came down to like talking with most of my peers at the time, or I guess kids my own age, it always felt a little different. I was always different, felt like an outcast, I'm not going to lie. There were times, right, where I was like bullied, of course. I mean, we've all gone through it, I'm not going to lie. Where I was bullied for being a little different, not able to grasp certain equations, maybe not having as many friends. At the same time as well, some teachers, even though they did understand my my disabilities, they also, it was a little hard for them to digest certain things, but I did have some support along the way from some great teachers who were able to help me through things. And I did have a few friends who did get to help me through a lot of things as well, but it was difficult. I'm not going to.
Yeah, it was. One can understand, the problems, because the people and the society is not aware.
They're not aware.
They are not aware about these things. So, you did so well in university, in school, and you passed all that. And then you are working in a competitive financial world, which is a great achievement,
Thank you.
for a young man. So how did you manage all this,
So, in terms of getting to where I am today, and thank you for all the kind words as well. In terms of getting to where I am today, it's like I said, I always felt different. I always felt kind of like outcasted. Even grasping certain ways of learning was different for me. But one thing, I'll tell you a life-changing experience that happened for me. It was when I had finished the 8th grade. I remember we had actually a ceremony to go onto the high school, and I'll tell you actually, because I always felt different and I always felt not motivated to really do much work in school, I don't want to say I didn't care as much about my studies or I didn't care as much about my own success, but I didn't focus too much on it. And one thing is that after that ceremony, I still remember at this time, now I'm sorry mom if you're watching this, I remember my mom was a little upset because all the kids who got like A's or 85s and above were all put on the stage and I wasn't there. So that was the one thing. I got my diploma and that was it. But one thing was after that, I remember my mom had told me that because of this you shouldn't not doubt yourself or anything and not doubt your abilities. You should still work towards how you can be who you are. After hearing that stuff, I took a long look in the mirror and I thought, you know what? I don't want to let this define me any longer. I want to keep on working, and my goal was always that I wanted to be quote unquote normal. But over time I realized there's no such thing as normal. We're all normal. We all may be different. Everyone's different. But we all have our own quirks, strengths that set us apart from the rest. And I remember ever since then, I made sure that I looked at my weaknesses and I tried to hone in. For one, I have ADHD. So one thing about having an attention or hyperactive disorder is that sometimes we may not be able to pay attention as much, or sometimes if we do pay attention, we're super fixated on one thing.
One thing, okay.
Yes. So one thing that I took advantage from that was based on that, I was able to create a structure and time management, organization. So I remember I created, for example, if I was fixated on one thing I had to learn in English class, I always made sure, what does this word fickle mean? So I just made sure I focused on it for 2 hours at a time. I know that sounds ridiculous,
Yeah.
but that I think having that made me see the strengths in myself, that I was able to focus on my weak points and be able to improve myself.
So, in a way that helped you also.
Yes.
In preparing you for this leadership role in your company. And do you think this autism thing helped you?
I definitely think it did. I'm not going to lie. Even looking back and talking today, I know it helped me. I don't think it helped me. I know it did. Because at the end of the day, with autism, with ADHD, with anxiety, I was able to have these quirks, which maybe most people might not even see in themselves. And that made me see that I should focus on certain things. Even looking into it, maybe some weaknesses I already know I have, I was able to kind of look within myself and get all those to work. Even as I went through high school, as I went through college, all that structure really helped me to get to where I am today. Even when I got to a project management role in my company, I first started off as a developer straight from college. But at the time, I remember, I went to business school, of course. So one thing is that I was really interested in leading and taking initiative. One time we had our project manager actually go on medical leave, and I had to take over for him because of the fact that nobody else was there to take over for that role. And I remember, due to my experience, I said, listen, I want to learn, I want to keep on adapting. That's one thing about myself. I always like learning, I always like to adapt, especially with my condition. I think one thing about having ADHD is that I'm way too focused on too many things. That's one thing I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself.
Yeah.
But that helped me in the end because I was able to get this experience, and I was actually able to apply what I learned and even get to a position where I am now.
Do you faced any kind of bias or indifferent attitude due to your situation in your professional life?
In terms of my professional life, I will be honest. Sometimes I can face a bit of bias. I'm not going to lie. Especially if someone does know about my condition, then sometimes people will like think like, oh, is he able to do this? Is he
Yeah.
not able to do this?
Yes.
But sometimes I'm not trying to say overlook it, but sometimes I just think to myself, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. I always know I can do it at least, and I'm able to prove it based on the work that I'm able to do, based on the way I'm able to mentor many other people,
Yes.
and able to support my teams.
And the results you are showing.
And the results I'm showing show I'm able to deliver.
Yeah, that's the main thing.
That's the main.
That's the main thing in the professional setup, yes. What do you think are major challenges for people with autism spectrum?
So major challenges for people with autism spectrum, and not just autism spectrum as a whole, but any disability,
Yeah.
is just getting that chance. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have a stigma against autism or even just any other
Disability, yes.
any other kind of disability.
Yeah.
And that is something I think that we need to improve on as a society. But the way we do it is that we just start having that, I'm thinking of the word for it, that inclusion, that awareness. We just want to have that awareness for what this is, and that we're all not, we're all not terrible at what we can do, that we all can provide something to this world.
But here in Eastern societies, there is a bias against such people. But do you think there is lack of awareness or bias in the Western society also about inclusion and participatory things for such kids?
Of course. So in the Western society, there is a little more awareness, I'm not going to lie. But at the same time, only we're just starting to have inclusions for like the corporate world. We're starting to have inclusions in terms of schools, like diversity programs. That's all pretty recent. And the thing is that I think there is still more room to have awareness, to learn, like have certain schedules, have ways to help people with certain disabilities. I think that that's all a work in progress, but it's definitely getting there.
You are having your own company also.
Yes.
Where you help young people. Tell me something about that. What kind of work is that?
So, I'm currently a career coach in my own company. So I help youngsters out who are graduating from college, who may just be looking for new jobs, or just graduated from college as well, in terms of finding new employment, helping refine their resumes, as well as just making sure that they're ready for interview preparation and also corporate world advice. So one thing in my own current company that I've made is that I'm coaching a lot of youngsters on how to handle the corporate world and how to be able to navigate around certain challenges such as certain politics, maybe how to get around certain interviews, such as how to get around, tell me about yourself, how to get around certain technical interview aspects.
So are there any youngsters who are suffering from autism disorders?
Yes, there definitely are a lot that are suffering from autism disorders, and I've also helped coach them as well.
Okay.
And with my experience, I've been able to actually get a lot of them to be a little more confident in their abilities and be able to navigate through the corporate setting a lot better.
Do you have any success stories like yourself?
So I actually do. I do have one kid that I did mentor at a point. I'll tell you two stories actually. One neurodivergent and one neurotypical.
Okay.
But one neurodivergent kid, he actually came up to me as he was himself looking for a job because he was just graduating school. And one thing is that I remember when it came down to it, he was a little less confident in his abilities because he thought that he didn't have the socialization skills when it comes to interviews. Of course, when you go to an interview, it's kind of nerve-wracking, I'm not going to lie. Like when you have to tell things like about yourself, when you have to tell about your skills, maybe they'll ask you like, let's say if you're doing programming, for example, they'll ask you to debug some random code and you'll have to just think of something on the fly. But one thing I told him is that be confident in what you do, even if it's wrong. Just be confident and just show, because what that shows to the employer is that you're actually trying to figure something out. You're problem solving. Even if it's wrong, you're at least able to get to a solution with your own specific answers. So that did help him. I remember as we were talking as well, it was also a nice friendly chat because I'm also pretty young. It was a nice friendly chat where we got to talk a little bit about like certain games, movies I'm into and that he's into, and that made him more confident that someone that he can relate to,
yes,
was able
definitely.
to get to such a stance and be able to succeed in this realm, and he was able to himself get the job well.
So do you think with your experience that there are certain strengths also for such people having autism?
Yes, I do believe that even for people with autism, there are strengths to it. And I'll even tell you about the neurotypical I was mentoring actually. One thing about him, I remember he came up to me when he just started in the company. He just graduated from college. And I remember that he came up and he was asking because I got to a pretty good position being a project manager straight from my program. And he was asking me advice on how things went. He was in similar teams that I was. And he was just asking, how did you get to where you were? We had weekly meetings where we got to discuss how the corporate world was, how the program was for me, and he kind of got to follow in my shoes. He got to do the same stuff I was doing. We had like a, not student council, but we had like a council within the job, within our program, where like there was a president, vice president. He ran for president himself, and he won that actually.
Oh.
I remember he actually did a lot of big things. I introduced him to so many other people that I had connected with, whether it's the head of diversity, whether it was the head of technology, head of project, and he got along really well with them. And to this day, I'm really proud of his progress. He has come a long way and has even talked with the CEO just recently in regards to certain programs that he would like to implement. So I definitely think anyone who has a disability or anyone that has like anything that they think might hold them back definitely has the ability to do something great.
What advice you would like to give to the employers, to the schools, to the colleges, to the and general public, about the strategies, about the work they need to do with such kids?
Yes, definitely. So in terms of employers and schools, I can always recommend something new. So as I was saying earlier, right, there's diversity programs in place at certain jobs. In terms of schools, they'll have like certain classes where the kids could be in, or like an aide that could help them out. But one thing that I would say, at least from a leadership perspective, as I am one myself, is that try to get to know your employees as well. Like, you never know. Maybe someone might not have a disability, maybe someone does. But at the same time, just as long as you get to speak with them, get to see like, is there something I can help them with? Is there a certain way I could be able to teach them? I think that's how you can best succeed in your role. For example, in the corporate world, right, I'll tell you that for people on the spectrum, right, now when you get to a corporate level, you learn a lot of different languages, right? Like there's certain ways in which you have to navigate the politics. You have to learn certain buzzwords like impediment or circle back, for example. And sometimes, maybe for someone neurotypical, it's easier to grasp that. But for us, it could take like a little longer, and that's okay. We learn at a different pace.
Yeah.
And the one thing is, compared to like how my mom teaches in China Learning Center and My Care Foundation, she always says that every child learns differently.
Differently, yes.
And the thing is, even in that sense, even in corporate world and in schools, every child or employee learns differently. So we have to find what strategies work best for that person. And I think as long as we're able to talk with them and see how they are and figure them out, we're able to see what caters best to them. And in the schools, oh, yes, you were saying.
Yeah, I am telling you that with your experience, what I could get is that politics is not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
You don't understand,
That's
the nitty-gritty of politics and all.
That's something.
Yeah, that's great, that's great, that's great. And how you could change the societal, perception about such people,
Yes.
overall.
Yes, definitely. So in terms of how we can change the societal perception overall, it's just that we just got to show that awareness, right? For example, I'm here today telling you my story and how I was able to overcome a lot of things. in order to get to at least a comfortable position where I am. And the thing is, at least if there's more people out there who are willing to share their story, I think that this kind of bias and this kind of like, I'm thinking of the word, this notion, I'm not going to say it'll completely go away, but people will be able to see the potential in us a lot more.
What you have to tell the parents of such young kids, what advice you can give, because every child, as you said, is different, in spectrum also.
Right. Definitely. So I can give a lot of advice to parents. First off, I will say it's not the end of the world. No matter what, your kid will definitely reach their full potential. And one thing is that I wouldn't look at, like, for example, if your child has autism or any kind of disability, whether it's like ADHD, whether it's like a dissociative identity disorder, for example, I wouldn't look at it as, oh, it's the end of the world. I don't think my kid will be able to do as much as maybe my sister's kid, for example. That's all BS. I think what we should understand is then we should see, how can I approach? How can I help my kid succeed? So that's one message I would like to give to parents, is that just keep believing in your family. And I think we'll all definitely get there.
And don't compare kids.
And don't compare kids. Yeah. Because that also hurts the kid too.
That also hurts. Yeah. So what are your future goals now?
So I'm glad you asked, actually. I have a ton of future goals, actually. Before I came in, if you talk to anyone in my family or any friends, they'll say this guy thinks of way too many goals. But all reality, I'll tell you what it is. Yeah. So I'm really hoping, if we're talking in perspective of where do I see myself 5 years from now, I'm really hoping maybe in the corporate world I could grow to a bit of a bigger position than where I am now. Maybe as a coach, maybe as a manager, that kind of thing. For other project managers, maybe I would like to actually see myself being a head of diversity and inclusion one day. That is something that I would love to be a part of, and I would love to help with, not just with autism, but all around, like race, disability inclusion, LGBTQ plus inclusion. I'm all about that. And diversity is such a beautiful thing. But aside from that, in terms of my own personal endeavors, I do have my personal business that I hope grows and I'm able to help more kids out. I don't even care about the money. I care about the fact that I'm able to make more of an impact to other people, whether it's them getting jobs, whether it's them feeling more secure in the corporate world, that kind of thing. And I'm also currently writing a book right now in terms of my journey and how I was able to overcome certain things and get to where I am today and what helped me and my own experiences. So I'm hoping maybe I could publish that at some point.
That's great. That's going to be I hope that's going to be a bestseller, You'll be giving your own experiences.
Definitely.
Yeah, as a young man. What other interests you have? Do you have interest in sports?
I do have a lot of interest in sports, actually. I watch the NBA, I watch the WWE. I'm a really big wrestling fan. I'm not going to lie. What about yourself?
I also played cricket during my school and college days. But what talking about, kids with autism spectrum, do they have interest in sports?
Yeah, they do, actually. I'll tell you some stories, actually. Growing up while I was in special education courses, I remember that I had a lot of friends who themselves were actually into the NFL or the NBA or cricket even too, and they'd actually play really well.
Okay.
I'm actually not gonna lie. Most of the kids I know who are really star athletes, they all did have a disability, and they're all doing really well.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's great. What kind of support you received from your own family, from your own mother, because she's excellent, educator of such kids with autism spectrum?
Of course. So my mom has supported me a great deal as I grew up. I'm not going to lie. As I told you guys earlier, right? I remember that I never believed in myself and I always thought that this is where my life is. I'm not going to be able to succeed. But my mom always kind of said that you should keep on doing things, albeit it is kind of like Indian spectrum, Indian parent spectrum, where they're just saying that, no, you got to do this, you got to do that. I remember my mom's favorite quote is pay attention. So what's it called? I'd always take that to heart. My mom would always have these big goals for me, such as one day going to a really big school, maybe even having a lot of money, having a big company, that kind of thing. And I think just her believing in me is what always inspired me that I could do something great. And that was the familiar support I got from my mom, and even to my brother, right? He has multiple disabilities, but one thing was is that he was always kind of my cheerleader, always calling me his hero, always looking up to whatever I do. And it always kind of made me inspired to just keep on prospering and be able to make them proud.
Yeah. And how do you think that your work, your experience, which you'll share with the next generation?
Right. Oh, could you repeat that question, sir?
Yeah. How your experience and your journey will help the next generations?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I think my experience and my journey will definitely help the next generations, as at the end of the day, I like to say I'm a pioneer, where maybe I was one of the first people who got to come up and tell the story. Maybe I wasn't one of the first people, but at least with my story, maybe someone who is 5 years old like me, maybe not believing in themselves, maybe thinking because I have this condition, I'm not going to be able to, like get married one day, I'm not going to be able to go to college. Maybe they can look at me and say, Manav also thought the same thing, but at the end of the day, he was able to make it. And then I can be that influence for that kid to be able to see that I can do it too.
Manav, thank you very much. Best of luck for your future and career. Best of luck. Thank you very much for joining us.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me again.
Thank you.
Thank you.